everybody, it's RighteousFreed back with another character build guide. This time it'll be featuring LANA in her upcoming SP form. She is getting a buff and is gonna have a couple interesting mechanics. And we are gonna shift over to LANGRISSER real quick, that way we can get started with it. She is projected to come out December 16th. Well, it'll be the same hero lottery, and then you'll have to spend a maximum of 4,000 crystals to get her stone. And we're going to look at her talent first. New talent will be the Dark Light Judge. For every buff on this unit, damage dealt is increased by 4, 5, 6, 7%, going from 3, 4, 5, and 6 stars, up to a maximum of 35% at rank 6. So this is better overall for her because it now gives her extra damage for her AoEs, because in her original talent it was only when she entered battle, so single target. So this is nice, and with Christiane out and her being a princess, she'll get a faction buff there that's 4 buffs. She'll have 28% increased damage just from that. And then definitely with other units out there, a good place Tenyos, that'll give her a nice buff. Make sure you max that out. But then we get on to the interesting part. When using melee soldiers, AoE range and span is increased by 1. So now she still has the extra range, so you have an additional cast range. Your black hole, instead of only having 3 range, now is 4. But now in addition, it'll have 5, so it covers an additional square at all points, so that'll be nice. People will be less safe if you want to use her for AoE. And when using range soldiers, you just get unit range +1. Now, this is not the biggest buff to her. She does get 5% more damage overall, which is very, very nice. But one of the things it does, this is a mixed bag. It does kind of, depending on how you want to build her and how you want to play, with what you equip her as, it's going to kind of limit what she can do. She won't be as flexible. Because with the current weapons out there, you want to maximize what she can do, her intelligence, to deal additional damage. We're going to get into her newest abilities. Elemental Echo. After actively using a skill to deal damage, the cooldown of that skill will randomly be reduced by 1 to 5 turns. This is actually incredible. If you are playing single target with her 3C Elemental Destruction, it has a cooldown of 3. So there's a 60% chance that'll have a 0 cooldown after you attack with it. So you can just keep spamming that over and over. And if you're going single target, you can just take along Dark Reaper as well, and that has an 80% chance of having 0 cooldown. It works for AoEs as well, because all it needs is to deal damage. So it'll work for Black Hole, it'll work for Heaven's Sanction. Their cooldowns are a lot higher, but being able to rotate with these is absolutely amazing there. You can just constantly Black Hole, wear people down, Heaven's Sanction with additional range. That way you can just keep poking people. It's kind of similar to what Chiffonial does, except hers is a lot more reliable. But it does give that ability to spam it. Now, her second ability, Phase Shift, is really what kind of gives a niche opening. When you use it, it marks the square you're currently on, and then you teleport to a chosen square within range. It's within 7 blocks of the point that you're standing on, so it's just like standard teleport. And you gain phase. Hero damage taken minus 75%. Hero damage, so your soldiers will still get busted, but LANA has a high chance of living through anything. Before actively attacking and entering battle, you restore 100% of your unit HP. That's always nice. And after taking action, you teleport yourself back to the marked square. This lasts only one turn, can't be dispelled. So, this is the unique thing that she has, because what you're able to do is you're able to just port right into the enemy team right in front of their faces, and you can use this as your last move. With 75% damage being reduced to your hero, it's going to be really hard for them to one-shot her. You can just immediately attack somebody. You'll be full health before you enter battle, and then you'll just teleport right back to your tank side. Now, this is going to be a lot better for single target. If you're playing against a tankless team, this can mean that you are able to just, your last action, walk into their group, they fail to kill you, bam, you just elemental destruction, kill them, port back to your tank. It's going to let her play some pretty interesting shenanigans. Now, I don't know how much this will actually be used for the phase shift, because it doesn't give her immunity to debuffs. She will be vulnerable to that. Somebody could silence her, they could put a heal block on her, that way she can't regen. Just getting rid of your chance to do what you want. It's amazing if you're a first player. Your last action is first player, your fifth move, bam, right in front of them, they only have their healer left. Let them do what they want, and then just go and try to nuke their tank or somebody out of position. But it gives her a lot of pressure, because nobody can leave the tank side, because she can kill most units. If we look right here for her soldier choice, she has a decent mix. She has Dark Elf Sniper. That way, if somebody has angels, she can use those to burst through them. Sorceresses, like any good mage. Dark Alchemists are interesting because they regen after taking action, so depending on the matchup, if there's tons of AoE and you don't think that you're always going to be at full HP, you can bring Alchemists instead. They have increased range as long as their HP is above 80%. She also has Hellfire Archers, deal extra fixed damage if you want to get through that. Or if they don't have, if they don't have angels, they have Empress Personal Guards. You can try to use that to get fixed damage to kill the hero off. Now, in her SP class, she also gains access to Redeemers, the same soldiers that LANA has. That way, if she wants to go AoE, she can take out Redeemers that have some extra defense there, so she might not die to a one-shot from a single target. SP Form gives her a little more flexibility and more damage to her AoE side. Only slightly more to her single target than she had before. And just the raw talent. And in her new class, Saint of Judgment, she gets up to 3,900 HP, more than even her Martyr class. And she gets 590 int. That's insanely high for other mages. Lucretia isn't even that high. So this will give her some extra bite right there, extra push. She does have slightly lower magic defense than her other two classes, but it's a great trade-off. Overall, just her class upgrade does make her better at that point. She does not have the single target range that other units have. Doesn't have the AoE range that Lucretia has, when Lucretia just gives +2 range to everything. But she does have that flexibility, the teleport, and the cooldown reduction. In my opinion, Elemental Echo is going to be core for her no matter what you play her as, because you can just get that reduction. If you're going to go pure AoE, put Clock on your equipment, take Elemental Echo, you can even take a Dimensional Jewel, and you'll have a super high chance, just like Shafaniel does, of constantly keeping those AoEs up and spamming them. Not many teams can survive 3 direct rounds of Dark Hole, for example. Or Black Hole, I should say. Dark Hole's Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, going on to her unique, which you will have to level, HP plus 5%. Before entering battle, an enemy obtains 1 random debuff. This was one of the first ones released. It's not the best, not the worst. But this does help her with using Astaroth. That way it guarantees the 1 debuff. And you get plus 15% in if you use Astaroth for single target. So overall, just as a judgment right here, it just makes her more spammy with her abilities. She might lack just everything that some of the newer characters have, like Lucretia, but being able to potentially spam Elemental Destruction or Dark Reaper every turn does make her a threat there. Now, going towards LANA again. How you build her and how you equip her, what soldiers you use, will all depend on what you primarily want her to do. There are quite a few things that you can have with her. If we look over here, so now for a basic single target setup, you can take Scepter of Divinity here, giving her 4 range. That way she competes with most of the other units. Lucretia by default has 4 range, so she'll be able to match it with this. In combination with Elemental Destruction, increasing soldier range by 1, she'll be able to attack with her units at 4 range. She'll be able to burst people down with Sorceress, Dark Elf Sniper, or Hellfire Archers. Now this does kind of pigeonhole her into if you equip this into being single target, because you won't have the extra int for AoEs. You can switch off, you just lose that. You just have to trade off that extra range there, or the extra intelligence. If you want, instead of Scepter, you want to be more flexible for your build, you can use Red Moon. Always a go-to. Never bad using Red Moon if you don't have anything else. Int, HP, it's got the whole shebang. If you want to be really spicy because you're using Dark Bride, her unique, use Astaroth, because when they have a debuff at max rank, this increases her intelligence by 15%. You're still only going to be able to attack at 3 range, but sometimes getting that extra int can mean the difference between killing and living. And at max rank, it is a 30% chance to stun them, lasting 1 turn. Even if you don't kill their tank, if you stun them, that can force them to heal, or it might make them waste a turn, so you just get a free turn. The only thing you have to watch out for is if they bring Resent Seal, or they have a bunch of people who have mass resist on there, and they're just bringing that to stop her and any other units that have stun. Astaroth, in my opinion, is not one that you really want to use because it's just too reliant on giving a debuff, and stun is easily purged by all the healers out there, or even prevented in most cases. Now, if you want to go AoE, Red Moon or Miracle Staff, as Miracle Staff increases your skill damage by 15% for AoEs, and you have a 3% chance to deal a random debuff. Everybody loves debuffs. So, if you want true flexibility, I would just stick with Red Moon. That way you don't have to worry about losing out on int that you might need to keep the damage up. With the damage increase she has the AoEs though, you might seem to find out that it doesn't matter too much because you could just take Scepter for a single target, and then, this match single target isn't going to be good, I just need a bunch of AoEs, keep wearing them down, and you, with a 35% damage increase at max buff, you're just going to find out you are nuking them like crazy. Personally, I'm going to go single target with her for the most part, and I'm going to keep a Scepter on her. For a chest piece, we're not going to get too in-depth, but Black Bride is going to be probably the go-to for most, because if you single target strike and inflicts a debuff, a powerful debuff on them, it's always great. Gives her 5% HP. You're going to have to build it anyways. But if you don't want to play this, you can just go Tenuous Rope. Does give her 10% HP. 30% chance to dispel an enemy buff and inflict one random debuff on the enemy. This is always a great chest piece. If you don't want to spend the scrolls on this because you haven't built her beforehand, and you have one of these laying around, always good. Other than that, you can, if you have a Galaxy Cloak built, you can do that, but if you don't have like a Tenuous Rope, I would just stick with her unique at that point. That would be the best in case you don't have a Tenuous Rope. For her headwear, Tenuous headdress, as soon as I can find it. It's going to be a great go-to, giving, Tenyo Breeze, the +3 mobility to your allies will always help you out there. 10% HP, giving other buffs, absolutely amazing. Everybody knows how great this is. If you don't have enough, Glory of the World is great. I might steal this Glory for her. Probably going to do that since I'm not using Yulia currently. Glory of the World's great. Because LANA will be holy, and her other units that she'll be using to attack, none of them will be holy unless they are Redeemers because you're going AoE. Somebody attacks her, she regains a little bit of life. This can mean the difference between living and dying. So that's always nice, and it also protects you once from fixed damage. Now currently I have the ultimate earmuffs equipped, still 10% HP, and makes an adjacent ally take 15% less damage and become immune to fixed. If you want to use phase shift, this is absolutely incredible because you can just move your tank up, end it, have LANA just go in front, mark the space next to the tank, pour it in. After she attacks the next turn, she comes back, ends her turn, buffs them up to take less damage to keep her protected. If you don't have any of those, Yggdrasil Wreath, even a Soul Stealer will be fine because you can potentially silence somebody. Honestly, I wouldn't build Witch's Reminiscence. It's not that great. But if this is the only thing you have and you want to use her, then you can use it. Me, I'm probably going to stick, kind of going to think a little more, probably going to change the Glory of the World just to give her a potential chance of survivability. But right now I got her on earmuffs. And last but not least, her accessory, you do have a few options. Right now I'm using Dimensional Jewel because I plan on maxing out the cooldown reduction capabilities with Dimensional Jewel and her, what's it called? Her Elemental Echo. With that, we will have a large chance of constantly reducing all the cooldowns to 1 turn or less to keep them up forever. You can use Twilight Star. Being able to break somebody, that way their last rites are not active, and then you can nuke them down with Elemental Destruction. Superb. Now remember, Elemental Destruction does gain, take a quick look here, does gain bonus against flyers. So it will deal even more damage than this, so always keep that in mind. If you don't have either of those, Holy Ring will actually be a decent option. Why? Because if you plan on phase shifting in, you need to make sure you don't get silenced so you can use your skills and deal the most damage. Keeping you from getting silenced always a great move. You do lose HP, but with your hero damage reduction minus 75%, you're going to live through that first attack 99% of the time. Other options do include Star Earring, solid choice, HP, and protects you against Assassin and Archer. Vidar Rose to dispel buffs from them, especially if you're going to be AoE. This will be fantastic. True Cross does give you a bunch of stats at max level. I believe it is 25% increase in magic defense and defense when you're battling demons and mages. This will all depend on the meta. I don't recommend using this for her. She only heals herself, and she'll always be at full health after using one of her 2 single target skills. And I would not use this for AoE. But it is an option if it's a last resort. Alright, and in summary, personally, Dimensional Jewel, you can even use this with AoEs to help keep the cooldown as well, low as well. Now, for her enchantments, Breeze is always going to be great, especially if you plan to use her a single target like I am. Breeze, 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 breeze. Look at the other enchantments real quick. You can, if you want to go AoE, you can also use Magic to give yourself 15% increased damage, 10% regularly and 5% extra for doing AoE. You can do Clock to even further maximize on the cooldown reduction. I would recommend Clock if you're going to primarily be AoE with her. Being able to just have multiple chances to reduce those cooldowns to spam, you're going to be a terror. All the other ones are not fit for her. But primarily, Breeze with the 10% damage no matter what, and Mobility +2, probably going to be your go-to with her. You can use Full Moon. You can do that as well. That way you just have higher int overall. But that would be pretty low on what I would recommend. Going a little backwards. For soldiers, sorceresses for single target, going to be the best. Nuke them down. You only want to take them off if you're going up against somebody like Christiane, who reduces tons of magic damage, or you're going up against a lot of angel units. In that case, you're going to want either Dark Elf Sniper or Hellfire Archer. Now, if you're facing a ton of AoE units and you don't think you're going to keep these sorceresses at full health, you can either go Wizard. At max strength, they have 30% increased attack and magic defense, or Dark Alchemist, which at the end of every turn they regenerate 30% of their HP. When they're above 80%, the soldier range is increased by 1 and attack is increased by 30%. Always helpful. So, like, if you're going up against AoEs, I would probably take him because they can just keep restoring themselves. Now, if you're going to play AoE, you're going to be using, we're going to shift to Leaden real quick, Redeemers, 99% of the time. That way you get the increased span. When forced into battle, damage taken is decreased by 20%. Fantastic. And as long as the unit has no debuffs, if they die, they regenerate at 20% HP, but the unit's max HP drops by 20%. To me, all the difference in the world having a second life. And if you're fighting against a ton of cavalry units like Werner Dime, Helena, Elwyn, Leon, Stone Colossus or Lava Titans, most likely Stone Colossus are going to be your best bet there, especially to go AoE at that point, since they'll block the vast majority of damage that any of those units can deal. Now, for single target like I'm going, primarily Sorceress or Dark Elf Sniper to counter Magic Guard. Alright, and then working to the class. It's going to be the same for her holy class as her mage class. You want int HP and then either magic defense or regular defense for the armor and headwear, whichever you prefer for the defensive stat. For the weapon and accessory, it's going to be int HP and skill. It's going to be the best there. Give her a little bit extra crit chance. Maximize her int stat. Now, Lana's been out for a long time. Everybody's probably very familiar with her if you've played for a couple years. Now with the new abilities, we're just going to go over her 3C real quick. Elemental Destruction. Attack a single enemy, dealing 1.5 damage before entering battle. Soldier range is increased by 1. After battle, you heal for 30% of the damage dealt. Super effective against infantry, cavalry, lancers, and flyers. So it's like a combination of Free Strike, Fireball, Lightning Strike, and something for the Wind Blade, all rolled into one. So don't have to worry about that. Just nuke just about any unit besides another mage with increased damage. Dark Reaper, we all know and love this. 1.3 damage, ignore 30% of their magic defense, and you recover 50% of the damage you deal. Stupendous, superb. With 4 range, you'll be able to attack, heal, stay safe. Now moving on to our AoEs you're going to be using. Black Hole. Attack multiple enemies for 0.36 AoE damage. Deals 2 random debuffs. Nice to keep them bogged down. Heaven Sanction. You have increased crit chance of 50% and deals 0.35 AoE damage to everybody within 5 blocks, and if they're demons, they take even more damage. Going AoE, you're going to take these 2 skills, nuke them, nuke them, nuke them. Going single target, you're going to take Elemental Destruction and Dark Reaper, with the last one being, again, her Elemental Echo to keep the cooldowns low. She's a very straightforward unit. She is not as complicated as some other units with, especially like Lucretia, we'll just keep comparing her to. Keeping the puppet within range, shifting it, knowing when to use the limited cooldown reduction it has. But sometimes simple is better. She gets an advantage against both Christiane and Hilda, the 2 most popular tanks here. Juggler is kind of on his way out, so there'll be less AoE protection. And she's going to kill just about anybody if they don't have angels, and then sometimes even with angels she will. She's not the best right now, not the worst. She's going to be high up there. If you just want to bog your enemy down with tons of magic damage dealers, you can first ban Christiane, force them to get Hilda. Or heck, if they choose to not go with a tank, that's even better. Now, she's going to fit best in any box that has Bozel, Licorice. They both give her a faction buff. Make sure that she can deal as much damage as possible. Princess boxes. Luna's making a comeback to protect against a lot of mages. You can play Shafanya with her, that way you can both AoE, constantly bogging down with multiple AoEs every turn. And your own Christiane. First pick Christiane, get Lana. I don't know what happens next, and then you get Apex Elo. It's a shame she's not Legion of Glory, but hey, she can have everything. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Do appreciate all the support. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, RighteousFreed out.